Right then guys, how's it going? Welcome back to TOON Wednesdays, your weekly roundup of Newcastle United news. Now I normally do a series called TOON Tuesdays if you don't normally watch them, but I did hold off a day until today because I had a feeling that something was going to happen. You guys already will know about it, and it's probably the title of this video, and it's that Steve Bruce has been appointed as head coach at Newcastle United. Head coach, not manager. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. I think the manager looks after more than just the first team. It doesn't really matter. Steve Bruce has been appointed head coach at Newcastle. I'm not going to go on about it too much because, to be honest, it's not really new news. It's been spinning around for ages. The reaction I've seen on it is mainly negative. I have seen pockets of positivity about this, but in general, the reaction hasn't been great. I mean, personally, for me, it's been a saga because of the fact he was at Sheffield Wednesday. We were meant to pay £4 million compensation if we wanted him. He then resigned from Sheffield Wednesday, and now we've got him. I mean, surely that can't be okay. You know, you can't just leave a team, go to another one, and get away without paying any compensation. So something is gonna happen there, you know. And Sheffield Wednesday, I've seen today, apparently weren't even notified. They found out that Steve Bruce became manager of Newcastle when we did, when the statement was released, which is just not new for Newcastle either. And I believe Sheffield Wednesday are looking at taking potential legal action because of everything that has happened in this situation. You know, we don't just do things simple. We have to somehow make a mess of it. In terms of Steve Bruce joining Newcastle, I can't really say much that hasn't already been said. What I will say is that I think anyone coming in after Rafa Benitez was going to have a hard time, regardless of who it was. Steve Bruce, I think, if we were going to bring in a new manager that isn't going to be the standard and the quality of Rafa Benitez, at least look at something that can improve with the team and improve for the future. I know some young managers may not have the experience, but at least it's something new and exciting to go forward with. Bringing in Steve Bruce, and nothing against the bloke, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he just doesn't have the accolades, and he's been around for a while now. At least if I brought in someone fresh and new on the scene, it could have been something to go forward with, which hasn't happened. In terms of Steve Bruce being a Geordie from the area, part of me can't believe that he's actually taken the job because of everything that's going on. I don't know what Geordie would want the job under Mike Ashley at his home club. He has got the biggest mountain to climb this season. It's going to be such a hard season. The only thing I can think is maybe in his head, he's always wanted to manage at Newcastle, and if he passed up the opportunity, he might not get it again. That's the only reason I think he would have taken it, because the situation we are in right now, I'm struggling to believe that anyone would want to manage us, to be honest. So all I can really say is good luck to him. And as a Newcastle fan, despite everything that's going on, I do want him to do well because I want us to do well. But honestly, it's going to be very, very tough. I said I wasn't going to talk about Steve Bruce too much, and then I've just rattled on for a bit longer than I'd hoped, so I'm sorry about that. But pretty much straight after becoming the head coach of Newcastle United, Steve Bruce was put on a plane out to China to meet up with the Newcastle United squad, who are currently out there doing our pre-season tour and taking part in the Asia Trophy. He's going to get a shock when he gets there because we played our first game today against Wolves and we lost 4-0. I didn't watch the game. It was on during the middle of the day, so I wasn't able to. I've seen a few comments from people. Obviously, it's pretty negative. I mean, when you lose 4-0, it's not going to be very positive. I'm trying to take it with a pinch of salt. It's the first game of pre-season, and if you look at our lineup, there was a lot of under-23s, a lot of fringe players involved. Obviously, it would be nice to win the first game of pre-season, but I'd rather lose every pre-season game and win an extra Premier League match next season. You know what I mean? The pre-season doesn't really matter, but it's important to get off to a good start, which we did not. Looking at the lineup, we had Darlow in net. There was Sterry was right back. Lazar was left back. We had plenty of players who aren't regulars. Muto was playing. He was up front. I don't think he got any minutes last season. Never mind the start of this pre-season. So, yeah. When you're playing that team, it's going to be tough to beat Wolves. They are another Premier League team, and they did finish a lot higher than we did last season. So you'd probably expect to lose against them even just in a normal Premier League match. Never mind when we're playing our under-23s team. So I'm not overly hurt by it, but I'm hoping we can do better in our next game, which is Saturday, and that's against West Ham. West Ham lost against Man City, so we play West Ham. Wolves play Man City, and that game is on Saturday. So fingers crossed. I know it was mainly under 23s and fringe players, so the result, but it is quite frightening to look at our team at the minute, and I did mention it in my last video. Players like Gale, Colback, Lazar, Aarons, these are players that we loaned out to make room for other players, like Rondon coming in. And now that we haven't signed Rondon, I know Kennedy wasn't great, but now that Kennedy's gone back to Chelsea, these players are coming back into the squad. And don't get me wrong, they may be loaned out before the start of next season, but the fact that we've taken them out to China on the pre-season tour, and again, no offence to them, because I'm sure that if they are here at the start of next season, they'll try and they'll give it their best go, but the quality wasn't there, and that's why we moved them out. So the fact that they're all coming back in, it's almost like our squad has gone back in time to our championship season. And that is frightening. We need to hit the transfer market. We need to bring players in. Up front at the minute we have Muto and Gale. Neither of them two kicked the ball for Newcastle last year. Maybe Muto needs a shot. Maybe this is his time. But it's worrying. And I mean, I've not even mentioned it yet. Joselu has officially left the club. He has gone to Alves. So even with our paper-thin squad, we still decided it was better to let Joselu go. And I mean, credit to the lad, he always tried, but again, the quality wasn't there for him. So we are desperate for a striker. I mean, look at Hayden. Hayden has wanted to leave the club for about a year and a half, and he's still here. And the most recent rumour I've heard is that we're not going to let him go because the squad is too thin. And he is a crack. He played fantastic second half of last season, but at the same time, I do feel a bit like he wanted to go, but he was nappy, but he knuckled down and he did his job for the team, and I kind of think we almost owe him to let him go if he wants to leave after what he did for us last season. But at the same time, we haven't got the players. We need to bring a replacement in first, and I don't know where that's going to happen. I've heard rumours that Dubravka is apparently unsettled. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, we need to get everything sorted. We need to get things sorted soon, and we need to hit the transfer market. In terms of the transfer market, that was well linked there. We have been linked with Hoffenheim striker Joe Linton for £36 million. I heard rumbles of this not too long ago, and then there was more chat last week, and then today reports are coming out that we have been in talks with Hoffenheim and in talks with Joe Linton himself. 22 years old. I'll be honest, from what I've seen, he looks alright. I've not watched loads of German football, so you guys probably know more than I do. So let me know down below what you think of him. The stats I was looking at was that he'd scored 11 goals in 35 appearances last season, which obviously doesn't sound amazing, but without seeing the performances, I can't really judge it on that alone. And the fact that he is only 22 years old, he's obviously seen to have a lot of potential to have a price tag like 36 million. I mean, if we're going to go and smash the transfer budget again, then I'm welcome to it. I can't help but think that we have many... It depends what happens. If we spend 36 million on this guy, we are desperate for a new striker, so I'll happily take it. But at the same time, if that's all we spend this season, that is worrying. Unless the plan is to go out and spend more on a centre mid, a right back, potentially even a left back. You know, we need multiple positions filled here. So unless we are offering Steve Bruce a war chest to spend 36 million on a striker, plus all of the other positions we need strengthening in, then go for it. But the underlying thing that really gets me on this as well, and I just cannot understand, is why Rafa Benitez leaves, Steve Bruce comes in, and then we give him 36 million to spend on the striker. You know, just like, what? My mind it just cannot comprehend it. It's crazy. I've heard talk that apparently Newcastle United were interested in this player, and that Rafa wasn't personally over interested in him because of the cost. Rafa would rather move that money around in different positions, which is exactly what I've just said, rather than go and blow it on one player. So that, again, the prospect of smashing the transfer budget on a brand new striker is amazing, as long as there is money to come for other positions, because if that's all we're doing, it's not enough. And when Rondon was worth 16, get Rondon, and then there's 20 million to spend on other players. It's crazy. And Rondon, if you haven't seen, has joined Rafa at his new Chinese club as well, so good luck to Rondon over there. A final few things to mention, if you haven't seen it already, the Melbourne entrance, or the players' entrance, has been revamped. I think it looks pretty good, to be fair. And there's also some painting going on down by the Sir Bobby Robson statue as well, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. But as we know, the stadium is in desperate need of some improvement and a lot more than a lick of paint. So fingers crossed this is the start of that. Is it a one-off, or is it the beginning of something? I don't know. Hopefully it's the beginning of something, but we'll have to wait and see. But as for the players' entrance, I think that's a good start. It looks good. And something else to mention, can you believe it? Because time goes by so quickly. 5 years ago today was the crash of the MH17 flight, where John Adler and Liam Sweeney, Newcastle United fans, lost their lives along with many other passengers. They were on their way to go out and watch Newcastle United play a pre-season in New Zealand when the plane got shot down, and these two guys lost their lives, Newcastle United fans. 5 years ago seems crazy to think, to be honest. So yeah, my best wishes go out to the families of both of the guys, and extended to all of the passengers off that flight. And you know, that is obviously why the clap around the stadium came in for the 17th minute. And yeah, I can't believe it, 5 years ago. So it's very sad. You never think these kind of things could happen. You know, going out to watch your team play in a foreign country is an absolute dream, and for it to come to a head like that is very, very sad. So yeah, not to end the video on a sad note, but as always, guys, I hope you have enjoyed the video. Do drop a like and subscribe if you are new. I will be back on time on Tuesday next week, hopefully with some good news, possibly about the Joe Linton transfer. We'll have to see what happens in the West Ham game, but obviously let me know your thoughts down below on the new head coach Steve Bruce, on the fact that a lot of these players who really we had tried to move out the door are actually coming back in. Yeah, and if I've missed any news that you think I should have mentioned, then let me know that down below as well, and I'll try and cover it next week. Alright, hope you guys have a great week. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.